Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, I want to talk about an important area of subtle energy physics. And of course, these will be detailed in much greater detail on our All Access Thor's Club and of course on our Patreon account. We're putting less and less up here as a general training. We need your support. You need to get out there. If you want really good information and detailed practical information, well, all of this is shifting and it's starting to shift now. And of course, make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel as well so that we can get our message out there. But one important area that people tend to use interchangeably is the term accumulator or accumulation and generation. Now, these are completely different, and in subtle energy physics, the different types of technology out there work differently with these kinds of energies, and they're not interchangeable whatsoever. When you hear things like Orgone generator, chi generator, well, that is a misnomer. You're not generating orgone. Orgone is accumulated. They're orgone accumulators. So you're not generating anything. It's important to understand that because it's the types of energies you're using and how you use them and the strength of them and the level of toxicity is very much dependent on where that comes from. Chi generator. Well, there's no such thing as a chi generator because you're not generating chi. Chi is technically, chi is an actual bioenergy. Chi is something that's within the body, yet it comes from outside the body. You accumulate chi in your body, and you then can use it internally or externally, depending on what you're doing. But it's important to understand that you're not generating it, you're not making it. Now, it's important to understand that an electrical generator does that. Now, an electrical generator, that is a common use tool. You plug it in or it's charged. Maybe it's working on a battery. Maybe it's got gasoline in it. So what you actually do is that you don't accumulate it, you generate it. And you generate it from the use of fuel. So the fuel is combustioned and it creates a generator effect, or an electrical current starts to come out of there that turns the actual generator. So you're actually generating it because you're not starting with that actual electricity. You have to make the electricity. So that's a generator. It's very different than an accumulator. If that was an electrical accumulator, you'd have to put it outside and somehow it would accumulate energy and then work without you putting gasoline in it or anything else. So it's important, and it's important that when you listen to people and the terminology they use, that they get it correct. This interchangeable word of using chi, which basically is an internal bioenergy with everything, or making a chi machine, is just incorrect. It accumulates, and it doesn't really accumulate chi. It'll accumulate cosmic energies, which draws into the unit, and then the unit will then broadcast that out, or accumulate it, and then or even amplify what comes in. But still, you're not generating it. You're amplifying something that you accumulate. So that's important to understand. So when someone uses the term generator, well, they're using a very bad term. You're not generating. And when we come into subtle energy physics, and we're talking about particularly radionic machines, it's a great misnomer to call them generators. And what do actually radionic machines do? Well, when you talk about radionic, which you could call a generator, because radionics, what you do is you put energy into it. it is then amplified and projected out. But you're not accumulating it from anything. You're taking energy in and you are then broadcasting it out. It's a complicated process to get good results and get the right numbers and make sure that everything is working correctly and that you know what you're doing. But it is a process of more generation than accumulating. Now, it gets difficult. Well, where does radionic energies come? Well, in general, radionic energies come from your consciousness, their thought form, their energies. Now, where do those come from? Well, of course, they come from your bioenergy field. Now, we connect people to streams of empowerment. So now you're getting back into the accumulation or connecting to energy sources to a degree. Now, there's different ways of looking at this, and it gets a little bit confusing. When you get a pure accumulator, which is what Orgone accumulators are, they never called them Orgone generators. I don't think you can find that term used by the original Wilhelm Reich or anything else. You weren't generating it, you were accumulating it through multi-layers of natural material. Now, the problem with that, if you're accumulating something from your direct atmosphere, now, there's cosmic accumulation, and there's ways of actually filtering the accumulation. There are many ways of doing this by using higher energy forms. The problem is that Orgone is not a higher energy form. I do think there's a lot of uses potentially for Orgone, but I don't think anybody takes it seriously in the bioenergetic field, meaning you're not going to sit in an Orgone accumulator and get some good effects from it. The atmosphere of this planet is horribly polluted and radioactive. If you're accumulating energies from that, well, you're going to bring in a lot of toxins. And I do know people that have used these so-called accumulator radionic type E machines, and they have gotten sick from it. If you're accumulating energy like this, you're going to... But, and there's been people that have actually died. But was that from those machines or not? Well, they're not really drawing enough energy, at least not initially, to do much damage. But it's an attitude and it's understanding. Do you understand the energies you're using? So is this an accumulative energy? Where is it coming from? What is it picking up? And how are you taking it in? And we have to be very careful about that. If you are generating it, well, who is generating it? If someone is putting their own energy into it or some other energy, well, is that good energy? We have a real problem in the subtle energy physics field, the radionic field, is just loaded with very negative people. So do you really want to get their machines? You want to work with them? Well, that's what they're putting into their machines that you're using. Now, you can clear your machines out. We have plates and so many other things. And we will have an actual rate plate that you can put on your machine that will clear it out. But we have that right now with our plates that we offer. And you can go to our website and find the General Radionic Empowering Plate. And it has this kind of cleansing aspect to it. And there are other ways to take negative energy out of particular machines because these are things that are generators. So if you put something in them, they're going to generate that energy. Now, how long does these negative energies stay in units and everything else? Well, this is again an area for research, but we found time and time again with a lot of different radionic machines that they have negative energies in them. Not really surprising because when you look at the manufacturers of these things, they are blatantly on the team, have supported for many years, by the way, Satanists who make these things. And these Satanists are not hiding, they're out there. So what does that mean to you? Well, you always have to be careful where you get your technology from. You also have to be careful, are you accumulating in an atmosphere that is filthy and polluted and full of radiation? You really want to bring that in? Well, if you're going to use an accumulator, you've got to make sure that in one way or another, you filter that. you filter your accumulated energies as you bring them in. So this is very important, and there are many ways of doing this, but it's too technical to go into here. I mean, that's why we offer our different types of technologies, and we have one accumulator. Actually, we have two. We use our recently, and we've posted here, is the actual evocation machine. Well, what does that do? That accumulates spirits. And you're accumulating a particular type of spirit by putting its actual sigil on there with your picture. And that means when the energy comes in there, because you've attracted it using the spirit sigil and your photograph is on there, you're going to get the energetic mixing of those two things. Meaning, if you brought in a spirit to help you with prosperity, well, you're going to get prosperity because of that. So that's how any accumulation works. Now, that's quite much safer than trying to bring in general energies. Well, if you just accumulate from the atmosphere, which is what Orgone's all about, you're going to run into all sorts of problems unless you're using purified energies there and you're buffering these things. And we always buffer, and we've got several standard items that we put on everything that amplifies and purifies them on each one of our machines. The other machine we have is a tachyon chi accumulator. And we use the term chi because that's what the public understands. But our machines work at a very high level, drawing in very high level or accumulating at very high levels so you don't pick up all the junk. Secondly, we have a filter and an amplifier in our accumulator that actually pumps in positive energy. So these are things that you just can't do on your own. Our actual tachyon accumulator, chi accumulator, actually has radionic patterns on the outside. So anything you put into that accumulator will be amplified and projected out, as well as using your photograph. So the energy is then sent directly to you. So the accumulation process is a cleaned and powered process, unlike so many other processes out there that are just giving you junk. But you really need to do that. How does this work? Where is the energy of a tool? And we have to be careful here. You know, so much rhetoric is talked about of what this does, and everybody thinks they have the miracle machine and nobody can prove really anything. Well, what type of machine do you have? What is it doing? So you can't generate a tachyon generator. Well, there's no such thing. You can't generate tachyons. Tachyons are energetic fields faster than the speed of light that basically come from the cosmos. So what you do is you accumulate them, slow them down through an antenna process so that you can use them in your physical reality. So that's another accumulative. But how does it work? Well, tachyons are faster than the speed of light. You're using an antenna to slow them down. Well, this tends to keep the energy very pure. And I've tested tachyons for many years, and the energy is very pure, although very subtle. It's very important that you understand that, and when somebody shows you a machine, well, where is the energy coming from? You know, radionic machines, as I said, are thought form-based machines. They don't really generate any kind of energies past a certain symbolic system. So systems that you have wires and dials on, well, you're creating kind of this web of empowerment. You're making a physical sigil. This physical sigil then amplifies what you put into it. So when you have a thought form, you actually goes into the machine, or you dial it into the machine, and you've created this energy in there. That energy then is amplified, or it assists in your basic tuning of it, and that's very important. Well, how do you get these rates? Well, that's why you have dials in general, or you have to use some sort of rate card or some sort of pre-made up rates, which is really what everybody wants. Getting your own rates is difficult and fraught with errors. But those who want to dial things in, well, that's what you're doing. It goes into this now sigil with the dials and the wires, and this is an amplifying pattern. You use it to detect and amplify. But without using further amplification and a certain amount of broadcasting abilities, you do not get a very powerful machine. So you do need to have electrical amplification of a particular type. Now, we have this in our tube amps and transmitters, where we use special sigils that go in and actually change the structure of that particular tool. So what we do is change them to subtle energy pick-up devices, so to speak. We change the internal structure of things, the subatomic level of that machine, that tube amplifier, through our special sigils, changes the energetic pattern of that tool so that it can use the type of energies you're feeding into it. And we do the same thing with our transmitter. So when you get a chi machine by itself, well, this is doing it automatically. It takes the energy in to a degree, amplifies it, and you then broadcast it out to you. That's why we recommend these chi machines to everybody. You can put your cells on them. You can put anything on these chi machines because it has this amplifying radionic symbolic pattern. But underneath that is an electrical, a special electrical device that we have actually changed so that we can pick these energies up and broadcast them out inexpensively, and everybody can have one of these or even several of them. And what they're going to do is amplify what you put into them dramatically. You got to remember, your basic thought forms, your brain power is unfortunately extremely weak. Everybody's is, unless they've trained themselves through years of meditation and other things. So you need a tool to amplify your thought form and then send it out to the target. And that's exactly what you do there. So you can write something down, but the best thing to do is get like one of our rate cards, one of our many cells. You put that on the machine, and then it will broadcast, and usually with your photograph next to it, if it's not a cosmic code which already has your energy built into it. Or use a rate card. Now, we have rate cards, and you put it on it. So if you want protection, well, you put a rate card on there with your picture there. And again, all these subtle energies, you have to do it the right way to get the higher level results, which everybody wants. And of course, you need to be using one of our Polaroid cameras, which are empowered to capture a high level of energy. Very important. And if you're a serious practitioner, you need these. In the meantime, you can get a commonly produced Polaroid picture, or cut a little piece of hair off, tape it on a piece of white paper, and put it on there. This will create a strong link if you do not have one of our cosmic codes, which is the strongest possible link you can get. A cosmic code is your code in the universe. We have boiled this down to 9 numbers that signify your essence in the universe. So very powerful and very exciting. So it's important that everybody understands these things, because we are being told a bunch of lies, sold a bunch of garbage, and it continues to do all these things that people. What happened here? Why is this not? Oh shit. Well, so much for that.